Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're doing a deep dive into something you're probably dealing with every single day.
Yeah.
It's this complex relationship between AI, digital tools, and, our own brain's memory.
It feels incredibly timely, doesn't it? And we've pulled together some really fantastic sources for this.
Sure.
We've got research insights, including some work by Kevin Brake, someone we've actually worked with quite a bit over the years,
Right.
and plus some key papers like Balancing Organic and Artificial Intelligence in Education, and another one, The Memory Paradox, Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI. That one's got folks like Barbara Oakley, Terence Sejnowski involved.
Yeah.
Really sharp minds.
hmm So our mission here with this deep dive is really to try and cut through some of the noise.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the core insights from these sources about how leaning on AI and digital tech might be changing how our own brains work, how we learn.
And what that means for using these tools,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Exactly, how we should actually use them. It really gets to the heart of a question Kevin Brake's work brought up for us.
Which is,
When we rely so much on AI, will it actually hurt our memory in the long run?
that's the central tension, isn't it? It's the sources really highlight this kind of fascinating paradox of our time.
How so?
Well, we live in this age of just instant information, right? The whole world's knowledge feels like it's just a tap away.
Totally.
We can outsource remembering details or doing calculations, even like drafting emails. We just offload it to external tools.
But there's a cost.
If the research points out a potential cost, yeah.
hmm
The less we actively use our own internal memory, well, the less we might be developing it, strengthening it.
Okay, and this brings us to a key concept the sources talk about, which is cognitive offloading. What exactly are they talking about there?
So think of it like this. You take a task your brain could do internally.
Like remembering a phone number?
Yeah. Or recalling a fact, doing mental math, figuring out directions,
Yeah.
and instead you offload it. You use an external tool.
Testing Siri, Googling it.
Right. Using a calculator, querying an AI. It's efficient, no question. Absolutely.
But
But the risk, and this is what these sources are saying, is that doing this all the time, this frequent offloading, it could subtly undermine our capacity for like deeper understanding, critical thinking, the kind that relies on having information ready to go inside our own heads.
Okay, right. This is where the neuroscience gets really interesting. You mentioned that Oakley paper.
Yes, Oakley and her colleagues dig into this.
What did they say is happening in the brain?
Well, they explain that when we consistently, underuse certain parts of our memory, like declarative memory, that's for facts, information,
Okay.
or procedural memory, which is more about skills, how to do things.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't just mean we forget stuff. It can actually weaken our ability to reason well. It can make learning harder because we're not building the right internal structures. And it can even make us less productive, on complex tasks.
So why does that happen? What's the mechanism?
A big part of it, according to the research, is about how our brains organize knowledge. We build these complex mental frameworks. They're called schemata.
Schemata. Like schema.
Exactly, plural of schema.
Yeah.
Think of them like these intricate internal maps or networks that connect ideas. They let us think flexibly.
Okay.
But what's crucial, and this is often bypassed if you just look things up externally, is that building strong, robust schemata takes active practice. It takes effortful recall, grappling with the information yourself.
Right, you have to do the work.
Precisely. If you're always offloading, you might not be doing that mental heavy lifting you need to really wire those networks strongly in your brain.
It's like your brain needs the workout to build the muscle, basically.
That's a good way to put it. And the sources point out another vital thing that happens when you have knowledge internalized: error detection.
Error detection.
Yeah, our brains are constantly making predictions based on what we already know.
Yep.
And when reality doesn't quite match our prediction, that mismatch, that prediction error, it's a really powerful signal. It drives learning, helps us refine our understanding.
But if we just ask Google or AI?
Well, if you just rely on an external tool for the answer, you might just bypass that whole fundamental learning loop. You don't get the chance to notice the error yourself.
Interesting.
Exactly. And the research also really pushes back on an idea that's become quite common, especially in some educational circles.
Which is?
This idea that you can neatly separate knowledge, memorizing facts, from skills, like applying information.
Right, like one is old-fashioned, the other is 21st century.
Kind of, yeah. But neuroscience suggests they're actually deeply intertwined in the brain. If you downplay the importance of building that internal base of knowledge, if you see memorization as just rote or outdated in the age of AI,
Mm-hmm.
you could actually be eroding the very foundation your brain needs for higher order reasoning, for real mental flexibility. You need the facts, the knowledge to build those complex skills.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned a surprising connection the Oakley paper makes. Something about IQ scores.
Yes, this really gives you pause. They suggest that this whole trend, cognitive offloading through digital tools and AI, combined maybe with certain shifts in how we teach,
Yeah.
could be a contributing factor to something scientists have been observing recently. It's the reversal of the Flynn effect.
The Flynn effect, that's the long-term trend of IQ scores going up in developed countries, right?
Historically, yes,
Mm.
but they're actually seeing a decline in some areas now. And this paper offers a neuroscience-based explanation, linking it, at least in part, to this shift in how we interact with information, how we use or don't use our own memory.
Wow. So this isn't just about, personal convenience or study habits. It might have broader societal cognitive implications.
That's what the paper suggests, yeah. It's a pretty powerful point.
Okay. Now, let's be clear, though. The sources aren't just saying AI is bad, are they?
No, not at all. They definitely acknowledge that many AI tools, especially in education, offer, significant benefits. Well, they can personalize learning, give instant feedback, handle some of the tedious tasks, things like that.
Right.
But the crucial warning, the thing that comes through really strongly from the research, is that it's just very easy to get fixated on what these tools add.
The convenience, the speed.
Exactly, the access. And we overlook what they might be subtly taking away or maybe preventing us from developing in ourselves.
Right. And this is where that other paper, the balancing one, introduces this concept of organic intelligence, OI.
That's right, OI. Organic intelligence. It's basically our own brain's native processing power.
Right.
Our ability to think, reason, remember, internally.
Our built-in intelligence.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the sources strongly emphasize that strengthening and maintaining our OI, our organic intelligence, isn't just like nice to have. It's absolutely essential if we want to actually use AI effectively and wisely.
Which brings us right back to Kevin Brake's work and that core question again.
Will AI hurt our memory? Yeah. And the answer, at least according to this research, seems to depend on whether it diminishes our organic intelligence. Does it let our OI sort of atrophy?
Okay, so that need for balance seems to be the real core takeaway here.
Absolutely. The balancing paper puts it really succinctly. I think it's worth quoting directly.
Go ahead.
They say, effective learning requires a balance, using external tools to support, not replace, the deep internal knowledge essential for genuine understanding.
The support, not replace. That feels like the key phrase.
It really is. That's the distinction we need to keep in mind.
So the argument from the sources is that building these strong internal mental frameworks, actually putting in the effort to practice recall, to internalize knowledge,
Yeah.
it's fundamental.
Yes. It's not just about being able to, pass a test without looking at your phone.
Right.
It's about having that mental scaffolding inside you to reason properly, to make nuanced decisions, to navigate a really complex world based on internal understanding, not just, spitting back what an AI told you 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. And are there practical implications here? What should people actually do?
One practical thing that comes out of the research is that we probably need to explicitly teach people, especially students, but really all of us, a pretty vital skill for this AI age.
Okay.
Knowing when to turn off the tech.
Ah.
Knowing when to intentionally rely on your own brain.
Yeah.
To allow yourself that productive struggle that actually builds those internal connections. It's critical. Otherwise, as one of the sources warns, we risk what they actually call AI atrophy. Atrophy of our organic intelligence.
AI atrophy.
So yeah, looking across all these sources, the powerful message is pretty clear. AI and digital tools, they offer incredible support, huge potential. But we absolutely have to stay intentional about strengthening our own organic intelligence, our own memory. It takes conscious effort. You have to practice, you have to internalize knowledge, build those crucial mental frameworks. It doesn't just happen if you're always reaching for a device.
Yeah. It definitely gives you, the listener, a lot to think about regarding your own habits, right? How do you currently balance using external tools versus, relying on your own memory and understanding in your day-to-day learning or work?
Yeah, it's a really good question to ask yourself. And maybe consider this as you move forward. How can you actively cultivate your own organic intelligence, your own brain's power? How do you make sure AI stays a powerful support for your thinking and doesn't quietly become a replacement for your own cognitive abilities?
That's a fundamental challenge, really, that this source material pushes all of us to confront.
It really is.
So if you want to dig deeper into this, you can find more information on the research we talked about. You could search for papers like The Memory Paradox, Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI. That's the one by Barbara Oakley and her colleagues.
Yeah, Michael Johnston, Kenzin Chen, Oili Young, and Terence Szymanowski were also on that one. Papers like these are often available on academic platforms, maybe SSRN, or sometimes on publisher websites.
Okay, great. And we would genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this crucial balance. Please do like this, leave a comment, share how you think about this relationship between AI and your own memory.
Yeah, let us know what you think.